is Wednesday morning. It is August the 20th. Rise and shine. Good morning to you. This is Coffee Talk. I'm WESH 2 First Warning Meteorologist Eric Burris. We get together 7 days a week and chat about what's going on in the world of weather, hopefully getting your day started off on the right note. At the very least, we try to sip coffee together and enjoy the day. But here we are, and you can see in the bottom left corner, we're tracking Hurricane Erin. Here's a better perspective of the storm. Category 2 Hurricane Erin. Maximum sustained winds are at 100 miles an hour, certainly not looking as organized as it once did. Starting to kind of spread its wind field and kind of succumb to a little bit of subtle dry air, wind shear, that sort of thing. Here's the official forecast from the National Hurricane Center, keeping it away from Central Florida. That's the important moniker here, right? It's not coming here. And as a matter of fact, it's making that hard right turn over the next couple of days' time, recurving away from the Outer Banks, not going there either, though the entire eastern seaboard of the United States being inundated with rough surf and rip currents. It's a nasty couple of days across the beaches. And as a matter of fact, the plan for me is to be up in Chopper 2 today, tracking the rough surf and rip currents in our beaches. Now, there are tropical storm watches and tropical storm warnings in effect for coastal North Carolina through Virginia up to about the Delmarva Peninsula there, because tropical storm conditions are either possible or expected there. Remember, it's a hurricane, but it has a wide wind field of tropical storm force winds. So if you've got friends or family that are up in the Outer Banks, some evacuation orders have been posted, emergency management officials basically calling for everybody out in certain locations just because the idea of storm surge, beach erosion, that sort of thing. And then, of course, there's the gusty wind potential there as well. So that's kind of where they're at up that direction. For us, I want you to notice here, okay, high surf advisories are in effect, but it's not just for us. Okay, let me go to just the Florida view. All right, and I want you to notice where that purple shade goes all the way up the coastline, all the way to New England. Okay, so this is a situation where there are high surf advisories in effect all the way up through Massachusetts. Okay, that's a rough one, right? For us, essentially this week, high surf advisories are posted, dangerous, potentially life threatening rip currents. We were out yesterday and there were not many people in the water. And when we happen to head out on Chopper 2 today, I would suspect about the same thing. So here's what the forecast is actually looking like. All right. If you're heading to the beach today, it's not going to be a great one. Seas offshore, 8 to 12, 8 to 13 feet, depending if you're in Brevard, Flagler, or Volusia. The breakers will be running 6 to 10 feet. Then tomorrow it calms a little bit. Then on Friday it calms a little bit. And by Saturday, it's much, much, much more manageable. So, at least for these next couple of days, it's not the kind of water you want to go in for a swim to, okay? Big, big, big concern there. Big, big, big concern there. Back here locally, when we kind of see the overall setup, right? Oh, of course, I clicked the wrong one. When we see the overall setup, right? As the storm lifts to the north, it will drag in a little bit of drier air, so rain chances are going to be lower, but there's the storm itself staying off the shoreline, but roughening up that surf up and down the eastern seaboard before by Friday, Saturday, it starts to pull away as kind of a mid to upper latitude storm. Will no longer at that point probably have, or will be losing tropical storm characteristics and will not be a threat to us. Okay. So that's what's up with Erin. I'm amazed that there's still some hype about this thing. You know, could it make landfall in North Carolina? You know, that sort of thing. But overall, the idea is that we're kind of getting back to normal for the weekend. Okay. Elsewhere in the tropics, let's chat. We've got Erin, you can see just off of our coastline. And then if you look in the open Atlantic, there are two other areas of interest. Okay. One in the central Atlantic, expected to recurve. 60% likelihood that that develops over the next 7 days' time. Then over near the Cabo Verde Islands is Invest 99. Now, the one in the center of your screen, The one that's expected to recurve, I'm not going to focus too much attention on that one just because, right? But looking on the right side of the screen there, Invest 99, it has a medium 40% likelihood of developing. Let's look at it on the satellite presentation. Okay. It's definitely looking healthy. You know, these storms, when they come off of Africa, they have to get their sea legs. You know, it's not like when you see a strong deal coming off of Africa, um, boom, it explodes. No, it has to transition from this monsoonal setup over to a tropical type setup. So it usually takes a little bit of time for that to happen. And that's what we're kind of watching here with Invest 99. So in terms of development chances, that's why it's not expected to like instantly develop, right? It's going to take a little bit of time. I would say, you know, something to watch. Now, that said, conditions become unfavorable late week. So, does it thread the needle where it has the opportunity to form before wind shear takes its place? We'll have to see, right? Now, all of this is being tracked while we've got some big stuff happening this weekend. Okay, we've got the Coke Zero Sugar 400. The good news is there is no significant threats for tropical development impacting us here in Central Florida. Now, looking ahead to the weekend forecast, we'll have widespread shower thunderstorm activity. But the overall idea, okay, since we're talking tropics, I just wanted to mention this. There is no major concern for tropical activity impacting us for the Coke Zero Sugar 400 this weekend, okay? So that's kind of where we're at in terms of the tropical stuff to watch. That said, let's look at the models and get an idea of where we're going from here, okay? And I'm going to keep it zoomed in here just so that we have the best vantage point, I guess, that we could have, okay? So here we are. There's Erin recurving, bringing perhaps some tropical storm conditions to the Outer Banks, but not a direct impact. There's that next deal, recurving, staying out to sea. Watching a weak sloppy deal there in the Caribbean, right? This is what is this? This is Thursday, August 28th. See, I need readers. Or not readers, I need progressives. So like now I'm like, okay, that's August 28th and eventually I'll have to make that change, but I digress. So that is next Friday, something weak in the Caribbean. And then look at that, kind of a couple little deals trying to form out east of us. You know, the tropics, relatively quiet. The models have been keeping us relatively quiet here the last few days, right through the beginning of September. Okay. All right. So there's that. That's the GFS. Let's look at the European. If I can click the button. Okay. There's the European. There's Erin recurving, staying out to sea. There's that next wave recurving. Little frontal area of low pressure there around the 25th of August, pulling off the coast of the Outer Banks. Sloppy, weak low around Florida around the 30th. Could be the slow Gulf low, part of the pattern in a non-tropical form. Kind of makes sense if you look at it. It's kind of this area of low pressure is just hanging out. And then the little frontal area of low pressure kind of picks it up and moves it on out. So, yeah, I mean, that could be it. A non-tropical feature, but there you go. All right, Euro AI. Hit the button, Burris. Euro AI. There's Erin recurving. There's the next one recurving. Another one kind of coming. Da, 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 da. And that's not even picking anything up into the Gulf. So, okay. All right. So, you know, truthfully, we are sitting in a very quiet setup at the moment. Let's look at the ensembles together, shall we? If you're new to Coffee Talk, we look at the ensembles. Think of this as a peek under the hood. So, this is the American GFS model. And for those of you that are watching, there's almost 1,000 of you. So, I'd say half of you are probably new. Half of you, you know, we usually have about 5, 6, 700 watching. So there's a few hundred new people. The ensembles are essentially this. The computer model, the GFS, the European runs. Once it's done running, we take that granular data and rerun it quickly, like 30 times for the GFS and like 50 times for the Euro. And it just kind of gives us some other ideas. Um, to see, some other physics elements there, if that makes sense. All right. So back to the GFS ensemble. All right. There's Erin pulling away. And there's some support for a little something behind it. Nothing significant there, which is good. Then we start to see some ensemble support here around September 2nd. Little something there. Again, nothing significant, but some ensemble support anywhere from the Yucatan all the way out to past Bermuda. So whatever it is, it's not going to be anything that we dial down anytime soon. That's the GFS. Let's switch over to the European. Some support for a little something afterward. Da, 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 da. Euro has maybe something around September 2nd. A couple of ensemble members throwing a weak little something here or there. Yeah, not much. And then over to the Euro AI ensemble. There's that next wave recurving. And then at the very end, it's kind of maybe hinting at something around the Gulf around August 30th. The Euro AI ensemble, I would say this is 240 hours out. It does go out further, but it's still running. So we don't have that to focus on just yet. All right. So anyway, models are going relatively quiet the next couple weeks time. So for now, we're watching. We had mentioned this during coffee talk, or excuse me, during tracking the tropics yesterday. Um, the Madden-Julian oscillation. The Madden-Julian oscillation. Let's do. The Madden-Julian oscillation is somewhat in phase right now. So what are we looking at here? The Madden-Julian oscillation, essentially the idea is where you've got spin, where you've got lift in the atmosphere. And the color table here is kind of overly simplified. If it's green, that means it's go for tropical stuff. If it's brown, it means you're down for tropical stuff, okay? So right now, MJO is kind of in phase for the Atlantic. Kind of goes out of phase. Look at that, the 25th of August. We're going to shut her back down, Mike. Then we kind of watch around the Caribbean around the 27th. But we're out of phase until almost, until almost September. We're the most in phase right now that we're going to be for a while. Once we go out of phase here around the 25th of August, it doesn't look like the MJO is really going to want to be. Look at that. The 30th MJO goes right back out of phase. That's why we're not expecting anything tropical to develop, right? I mean, there's a little area, a little ribbon here or there where you could get something, but overall, right through September 5th, MJO is, brown is down right now. Green means go, right? So that's where we're at. Okay. So at any rate, that's why, if you look, that's where, green is go. And that's exactly where we've got tropical activity right now. So it makes sense. This all tracks. All right. So that's kind of where we're at the moment when it comes to the tropics. We've got Erin, we've got Invest 99, and we've got that other wave. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Terry says, really need to thank you so much for keeping us informed every day through Erin and being calm. In turn, relieving a lot of anxiety. That's my goal. Genuinely, that's my goal in my entire career is to keep people calm. Genuinely my goal. Gaia says almost halfway through the season. Hopefully it stays quiet. It's been quiet. Yeah. Kevin says so 2+ weeks of potential no hurricanes. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Walter's asking, what do you always drink out of that carton? It's my pro. I had bariatric surgery a few years ago, so I'm not sponsored, and I pay full price for this. But it's my protein shake. I drink 2 of these a day. I just need to. I need to. So if you look, it's cafe mocha. It tastes like coffee. So that's my coffee this morning, and basically every morning. Diane, are the storms that come off of Africa basically monsoons on that? Yeah, it's monsoon season. Exactly right. Yeah, it's the African monsoon season. So as those monsoonal waves come off of Africa, they get out over the water, they develop into tropical stuff, and then bada bing, bada boom. Um, Justin is asking, is the MJO a product of one of the global models, or does each global model have their own MJO product? And how far does the MJO go? The Madden-Julian oscillation is kind of this idea. What I do is I use a certain product to kind of help display that graphically, if that makes sense. Barb says you should be sponsored by now, just saying. I, I'm sponsored by Wesh too. I'm grateful to be employed by Wesh too. My point in saying that I'm not sponsored is just trying to say, like, I am not advertising this because I am paid to do so. I pay for this product. I've had two of these a day for years at this point. That's all. I'm not trying to look for sponsorships here. Wesh 2 is my employer. I work for Hearst Television. I'm grateful for that. More so grateful for that with every passing day. Let's see here. Keep that cinnamon roll. It does kind of look like a cinnamon roll, doesn't it? Yeah. Brian, were you flying over the track yesterday? Sure was. And I was talking to air traffic control too. I was running radios in Chopper too, which is always fun. You think Erin will have a chance to recycle? It'll be near the end of the Matt, it's possible. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Yeah, the struggle when we get into October is you kind of fade the old one out and fade the new one in. So that's where we get into the struggle, really and truly. Katie says, crashing in from Facebook. Hi, YouTube Coffee Crew. I see all of y'all. Mark's asking, how do you know Harvey Leonard from Channel 5 in Boston? Absolutely. Love Harvey. Love Harvey. Maybe one of the greatest meteorologists ever to grace the television airwaves, period. Terry Ann says, well, now that makes sense. Monsoon season is Africa. In Africa's hurricane season here. It's true. And you bless the rains down in Africa. No, 86 that. Yeah. Patricia, I'm so happy to have found morning coffee. I feel like the only forecast to trust. Thank you. Well, thank you, Patricia. I appreciate you. I drove by the West Studios yesterday. What is that orange building near there? It's a data center. I don't know. They're still building it. Let's see here. Lindsay's asking another one coming off of Africa. I mean that we're in that part of the year where we're just going to get them rolling off of Africa over and over and over. Yeah. So hold on. We'll do that. We'll do that. Do that. Yeah. So looking at the African satellite, yeah, there's another wave that'll be rolling off of Africa in the not so distant future. But remember, again, as this next wave rolls off, and the only reason that you see like the jagged edges is because this channel of the satellite doesn't go all the way across Africa. We've got this on the Atlantic satellite, which gives us the highest resolution, but because of the curvature of the Earth, it ends over in Africa there. So we could switch to another satellite channel. I'm not going to do that. But you see, there's another wave coming off the coast of Africa in about 3-4 days' time. But I would add, what is it working into? Which is a less favorable environment, right? There's going to be more sinking air, right? We're not looking at that lift. The Madden-Julian oscillation is out of phase by the time this next wave rolls off. So it's not going to be as favorable for development. So we'll watch. We'll watch. Lindsay says, I've seen you at Stefano's. Yeah, baby. Love it. Harry Volkman is the greatest. I don't. Harry Volkman? I'm trying to think. Is that a. Why do I think that's a Ghostbuster? No, Vankman is Ghostbusters. Never mind. Let's see here. Has a monsoon ever come off Africa so strong that it was an immediate tropical depression or storm? Mike, we'd have to ask Phil Klotzbach. Save that question for when we get Phil Klotzbach back. You know? um, Bula, Bula, is that how you say your name? Says, I'm so glad I'm up early enough to actually watch this live. I watch it all the time and I'm a huge fan. Well, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, It's it's kind of fun, not gonna lie. I definitely love coffee talk. Michelle, good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, Deanna, we're not getting into this conversation. We're not gonna. They're both delicious. Jeff, next week is the return of the slow Gulf low. Is that going to happen? So the euro was hinting at it. If we come back to the euro, I'll show you. None of the models were really going bonkers over it, but the European, if we look, There's Erin. Da, 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 da. So watch here. So Monday. So watch around Florida. Little weak area of low pressure, the 29th. 30th, right? There's a slow Gulf low that just kind of gets picked up there around the first and the second. So there's at least the euro picking up on the slow Gulf low. It doesn't do much with it, but it's at least trying to pick it up. So do I think that the slow Gulf low is going to be this big old part of the pattern? Doesn't look like it for this version. And I'm never going to sit here and cheer for a tropical system. So, to that point, it's just fine. I'm going to cheer for good weather for us. And as a matter of fact, looking at our forecast, hey, aside from rough surf and rip currents, we're going to be doing okay. Rain coverage low today because Erin, just off of our shoreline, pulls all that moisture away. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, rain chances start to rise again and get back to normal routines, we'll say there. Yeah. All right. That's where we're at. Michelle says, ready for some UCF football. Ah, Justin says, Wesh 2 is not branded as NBC2. I don't know why you keep asking that, Justin. I've said that. That's correct. Justin is, yes. Wesh 2 is not branded as NBC2. That's correct, sir. We are Wesh 2. That's what we are branded as. We are owned by Hearst Television. Yeah. Slow low doesn't look bad at this point, does it? Terry's asking. Nope, that's the good news. Love that. Yep. We're going to invent adult beverage and call it the slow gulp. That's funny. All right. Aquarius asking, when will we start trending cooler? You know, the next few months. Meteorological fall is on its way. October, October. Sometimes you get a little sneaky front coming in September, but October's when we get to jam. One cold front that just teases us. Mm. Jonathan says, I feel like you're part of the family now. I love that. Thank you very much. You're a part of my family. I do this every morning. Also, can I borrow $50, Jonathan? Just kidding. Oh man. Please a coastal forecast for the weekend, Brian's asking. Oh, is there a little event going on this weekend? You have something going on? Friday night? Wawa 250 powered by Coca-Cola? Looking okay. Maybe a thunderstorm. We have to watch around race time. Otherwise, we're looking good. Then, of course, there's Coke Zero Sugar 400. Looking pretty good. There will be some storms around, but otherwise, we're looking pretty good. Storms around earlier, okay? Earlier. Hopefully, we'll be able to get the race under the lights looking good, right? Meanwhile, back here for home today, let's just take a look, okay? I don't know what tower cam she's got punched up there. That doesn't look like a good one, though. I'll tell you that one for free. Let's look outside. Yesterday we were discussing. Is that the new Smyrna Beach camera? Let's just pop this up and see. All right, so we've got coastal rains. We've got that going for us, right? Let me loop that. And what's kind of neat is, oh, okay, so yeah, so I guess it was raining a little bit ago, and maybe that new Smyrna camera went off, or it's just pouring out right now. But look at the direction of these showers. They're going southbound. Why? Because they're rotating around Erin, right? So, let's see. Nope, wrong button. We'll do that. Let's come over here and look at Daytona Beach on our weather stem shot. Yeah, the surf is definitely rougher today than yesterday. Let me bring that full screen for you. You can definitely see you got the clouds there. Yeah, the wind. Yep. Yep. That's kind of it. Let's look up the shoreline to Marineland. Yeah, look at how angry that is. Yeah. That's where we're at. Yep. So, very clearly, I mean, we're going to be up there in Chopper 2 today. May get bounced around a little bit. That's okay. Take a look at the tower cam. Several different camera shots here at a time. Those are the weather stem cameras. So New Smyrna Beach, clearly it's pouring outside. I think that's the gist of it. Tourist district looking great. Kennedy Space Center looking great. Downtown Orlando looking great, but we've got that downpour there on our live radar. So a little bit of stuff to track this morning. Again, we'll come back to this on a kind of a more of a fine-toothed comb view now. So there's the downpour on our live radar working right through. And that's the other thing too is when you think about it, tropical downpours, man, they are just a different breed, aren't they? It doesn't look like much on the live radar, but like a few seconds ago, you couldn't see diddly squat. Now we're starting to be able to see some of the buildings here on our New Smyrna Beach tower cam. But doesn't that just show how these, man, oh man, how these tropical downpours, if you're new to tracking the tropics, tropical downpours are just wicked. They're just wicked. So the view is starting to come back in, but you can see the downpour there, right? Yeah. All right. So back to the radar. It looked like that was about the only game in town for now. Yeah, we've got that. Let's come up. I think I saw one near. Yeah. So Marineland. Get ready for it. Palm Coast, get ready for it. You've got some rain kind of moving your direction here shortly. Temperatures out the door. Upper 70s, lower 80s. Forecast for us today brings those readings into the mid 90s, and we're going to keep a 30% coverage of rain. The overall coverage is going to be low because Erin's pulling the moisture away. But where the rain does fall, those tropical downpours are going to be pretty heavy. If you're new to town, I can't overstate it enough. Like if you've never seen a tropical downpour, it is wicked how heavy that rain is. So here's Futurecast this morning showing those rains kind of impacting the coastline. Through lunchtime, we'll develop a sea breeze and start seeing some stuff, but it's really going to be kind of metro off to the east and around 2, 3 o'clock. Torrential downpours. Can I share something else with you guys? You want to see something funny? All right. I was in this, let me set the stage here. I was in the station and was doing some work. I was meeting with the boss, and um, at 3 o'clock yesterday, I was in an area where there was no windows. So I text the group. I don't think Maria's going to get mad at me for this. I text the group, what time should we lift in Chopper 2? And she wrote now. And I wrote, okay, walking over. And then she sends me this, which is a shot from the helicopter, and there's a downpour in the distance. Now that's VFR conditions. It's not, pilots will know that's VFR, but there's a downpour off in the distance, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm on my way. Well, then as I'm walking, it starts raining. Still VFR. But what you're about to see is going to be one of the funnier videos you may ever see at my expense. That's the rain, and that's me running to get to the helipad. I'll play it again. Do, 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 do. This is what happens. See, even the weather guy can get caught in the weather. If you're not paying attention, that's the way it's gonna go. Maria, don't hate me for sharing that. I think it's hilarious that you. So I'm literally we're getting ready to lift, and she texts me that, and it's just like, oh, thank you for that. Sometimes Maria's in coffee talk. If she is, laugh. It's okay. Everybody can laugh at my expense. That's the way it is. Bruce says you're supposed to know better. If I'm not looking, I'm not looking. Ugh. Okay. All right. Questions, comments, concerns, anything? Amy, wow, with a lot of questions. Amy says, drought index. We're looking fine. Pollen count, rough. My nose is killing me. Water temperature, hot. Is the dust gone now? Dust is calming. Amy with all the questions. So Maria is the boss. Can we talk about merch? She's one of the bosses. She's one of the bosses. Can we talk about merch? Ay vey. Oh man. All right. Um, Ellen's asking, so how's Altamont Springs looking around lunchtime today? So showed Futurecast a minute ago. I'll bring it back up for you. Looks like around 2, 3 o'clock is when we're going to start to see some rains really getting going. But again, because we've got Hurricane Erin nearby, these rains are torrential. So here's lunchtime. We're looking good. A couple of showers along the coast. That sea breeze forms with Erin's help, and we're going to get some torrential downpours. 2, 3, 4 o'clock. 2, 3, 4 o'clock is really when we're going to get the bigger coverage of rain. But these torrential tropical downpours today, all right, that's what to be expected. Katie says, it's okay, Eric. We only laughed at you for 15 seconds instead of 30 seconds this time. Well, and the other thing is, like, I was just soaking wet. So there's that. All right, that's all I've got. Listen, be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out for Coffee Talk. I will see you from Chopper 2 today, maintaining VFR squawking 1200. West 2 News at noon, 4, 5, 5:30. So we'll figure it out. All right. Take care, everyone.